Don't miss the Kelly File tomorrow.
Now, not a day goes by without an outrageous comment from the left. This one comes to us courtesy of Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer. Now, the liberal lawmaker was speaking on the Senate floor yesterday about the debt and the government shutdown when she had this to say about House Republicans. Take a look.
I never question the fact that Republicans, Democrats, and independents love this country. Love this country. I never question it. But I have to say, when you start acting like you're committing domestic abuse, you've got a problem. I love you, dear, but, I'm shutting down your entire government. I love you, dear, but I'm going to default and you're going to be weak. Something is dreadfully wrong.
Pretty unbelievable. And after given the opportunity to distance herself from these disgusting comments, Boxer's office instead told our producers, quote, Senator Boxer believes that we all love America, so let's not hurt her with a government shutdown under threat of a catastrophic default. And we also emailed and called the National Organization for Women, and they did not have the courage to denounce the floor speech. Who's laughing? All right, illustrating yet again the blatant double standard of the left. We bring back our studio audience. All right, why are you laughing?
Well, I work for the Independent Women's Forum.
Yeah.
It's typical of now not to be responding. Some women in the United States have been victims of domestic abuse, and I think it's offensive to use this kind of language when we're talking about a conflict in governance.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we're talking about conflict, because what we just heard is showing how the political bickering is getting in the way of good decision making in this case. And the blame game is not going to get us to solutions that, by the way, Obamacare aside and the politics of it aside, is affecting businesses like mine, which, by the way, generate, 50% of all the people in America that are working work for small businesses. So we need to look at the economic implications of what it means to us in this whole process instead of just the blame game.
DeRoy?
I agree with that. I mean, we hear often from Obama and others that we need to cool down the rhetoric and let's lower the passions and so on. And yet we hear the Democrats over the last couple of weeks talking about the Republicans being jihadists, blackmailers, arsonists, and now domestic abusers.
I got a bomb strapped to my...
That's right. You have a bomb strapped to your waist, etc. I mean, when you have this kind of rhetoric, how do you expect people to sit down and calmly say, okay, let's try to cut a deal?
Let me go to Jacques. Jacques, you're a minister. I know we disagree on politics, but jihadist, bomb strapped to, if you're a conservative, Tea Party, tea baggers, all those pejoratives that have been used. Barbara Boxer's comments. What do you make? This seems to always be coming from the left, and they get away with it.
Well, because the substance of the right might be couched in politically correct language, but it's equally toxic in its impact. And the real question is, what happens when a political party implodes and holds the rest of us hostage? That's the issue today.
You're using the same
Republican Party. The Democrats are completely unable to sustain themselves. You just saw this in the conversation you had with Adam Smith. Kind of an ironic name, right? So Adam Smith was talking about this brinksmanship. The ceiling is going to fall, but it's not. Remember the sequester disaster that was going to happen to us? Well, what happened? The sequester came. It's still there, and the country's operating. It's still there.
Senator Boxer's By the way, Chris Hahn is Chuck Schumer Jr. Go ahead.
To Senator Boxer's point, have you seen John Boehner lately? He kind of looks like he's been beaten down by his own party. And it's time for them to kind of let him make a deal so that the country can get back to work. The Republicans would be having a very good week right now if the government was open and all we were talking about were the mess-ups in Obamacare's launch.
Listen, the reality is this is just a kick the can down the road thing anyway, right? We were talking about that earlier. No solution here. All Obama did was wouldn't negotiate. Now we're going to kick the can down the road to January and February. And then that means, thank God they didn't do it over my Christmas vacation, because I don't really want to argue this like I did last Christmas with this president.
This is just a short-term solution to a long-term problem. It's not. It's addressing the symptoms and not the problem. So we're just going to continue to see this pushing it off instead of dealing with the real issue.
And Tom, and I promise, yes, Jamu, you're being very patient tonight. I'm very proud of you. How are you?
Great. I'm in great spirits because finally cooler heads are starting to...
We check back in with Ainsley Earhart. Apparently there's a comment on Twitter about Austin.
Yes, I'm going to get to that one. That's the third question. But these are questions for the panel. The first one is Lane Landis says, my question is, will I get paid come November 1st? I am a disabled vet and I need my pay to pay my bills. Then we have, and by the way, thank you for serving. We also have Victor Warden. Why is it so hard for Congress and the administration to pass a budget? Every American has to. It's time for Congress to obey the law. And then this one's for Austin. Austin, get ready. Can you ask Austin on the show, what is the magic number to stop borrowing? Is it 20 trillion? When do we pay back?
Ooh, quick answer because we got to get to...
The answer is it should be as a share of your income, not a raw number. Because as you get richer, the amount that you can borrow...
We should live within our means. Yes.
Well, I'm glad we went back to Ainsley because I've been worried about her during the last segment. She's still not able to sign up for Obamacare. That's the story here. There are millions of people who are getting letters from their health insurance companies. Their plans are dropped. Their rates are doubled. They can't get on the exchanges. And we've expressed concern on the panel about whether or not different members of Congress represent our interests. The best way to get them to represent our interests is to align their interests with ours.
Perfect.
Make them go into the Obamacare exchange.
You have a 3-word comment. We're almost out of time.
4 words. Obamacare. Bait and switch.
Isn't that the key?
Sean,
switch.
long-term budgetary reform, entitlement reform, getting our government in order.
If Jammu doesn't get in, she's going to be mad at me. Go ahead.
What this boils down to is you lost. So it's time for y'all to sit back and get over it. Because this is coming to an end, Sean. It's going to come to an end.
Julie. Governor Huckabee. Wow. Get over it.
And here's my corollary. Live to fight another day, but on this one, you have to give it up because if you don't, you're going to